Beyond quiet quitting, another workplace trend is making employers even angrier. A really popular workplace trend that popped up was a term called quiet quitting, which is essentially when an employee determines that they are going to do the bare minimum or as little as possible in order to get by at work and prioritize other things. To be honest with you, as you know, you read about stuff like this, you'll learn that a lot of people have very different definitions of what quiet quitting is. Essentially, I would say the overarching thing is no longer prioritizing work above anything else. Work goes to the bottom tier of priorities, and you do only what's required of you at work in order to get out and go do something else, or go, whether that's personal, working a side hustle, all these different things. But we're going to go ahead and jump into this, and we'll give a breakdown. I thought this was extremely interesting and timely, given everything that's going on in our country, and I think we'll learn a lot from this. We've got some goofy ads playing as I'm trying to read this. So in the summer, X out of this real quick. There we go. In the summer of 2022, 24-year-old engineer Zad Khan inadvertently went viral and set off a new workplace trend with a short TikTok video about how he was quitting the idea of going above and beyond at work. And just a side note, multiple people's reasonings for this is different, and their idea and definition of it is different. So I want to focus more on a certain kind as we read this. But the term quiet quitting was thus born, and nearly a year later, raging debates on whether this means setting up professional boundaries after years of being underpaid and underappreciated, or simply slacking off at work continues. And this is the one that I wanted to talk about: setting up professional boundaries after years of being underpaid and underappreciated. For me, that seems to be more of the trend and more of what actually is going on, especially when you break down statistics, which we'll look at that in a minute. When they say simply slacking off at work, that just means you're choosing to be terrible at your job. And that never normally lasts long, and honestly reveals more about your character than anything else. Essentially, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't want to offend anybody, but irregardless of how you feel about promotions and pay raises, you still agreed to receive payment for a service and to do that work. And so irregardless of what's going on outside of that scope of reality, you are still there in a contractual agreement to say, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and in return, you're going to pay me ABC. And what you're doing instead is you're saying, well, I don't feel like you value me, so now the work that you're paying me to do, I'm not going to do. I have a real problem with that from a character level. I don't agree with that stance. I don't agree with that ideology. I think that is terrible. And I think that if you are going to live in that realm, and that's how you're going to operate, you're going to have a very, very rough career. Anyways, that's I don't think I can make myself any clearer on that. So, dear Lord, these advertisements are driving me nuts. This is crazy. What the heck is going on? There it goes. Dear gosh, help me. Okay, according to a wide-scale study conducted by consulting firm Deloitte, 46% of polled Generation Z workers and 37% of millennials said that they worked a second part-time or even full-time job in tandem to their main work. As first reported by Fortune magazine, some of the most popular side hustles include selling online products, delivering food orders, or working for a rideshare company and writing marketing materials on the side. The cost of living has been the workers' top concern for 2 consecutive years now, and finances are consistently their top stress driver. Michelle Parmalee, who heads Global People and Purpose at Deloitte, told Fortune, interestingly, these concerns are really consistent across both generations, so it's not just a matter of Gen Zs being young and just getting started in their careers. So that's interesting. So that shatters any misnomer about, well, back in my day, blah, blah, blah. This is something that is cross-generational. It's something that everyone has consistently been concerned with. And I can say from a data perspective, as the trends continue and as we have, our money becomes worth less and less, and dilution of the market and all this kind of stuff, the work trends will change accordingly. So if you're only able to pay X amount of dollars for a certain job, you can't expect people to operate as though they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, if not close to millions, and they're only going to be committed to one place. And so I can tell you right now, from a perspective of where I'm at, being in certain startups and certain levels, the consistent conversation has had to morph. And I will tell you now, in the role that I'm in, where I'm leading a certain amount of staff or a team in my organization, the conversation has absolutely morphed. Because I remember back in the day, in the beginning of my career, it was a matter of, well, you get paid X amount of dollars to do this job, and that's a very decent pay, and so we expect you to show up and do it, and do what it takes to make it happen. That conversation has morphed. Whether you feel like that was the right way to do things or the wrong way to do things, irregardless, the conversation has to morph, especially when you're in business. And what does that mean? That specifically means that no matter how you feel about the situation, you have to be able to reevaluate how you're going to survive. Because at the end of the day, your job, whether it's your business or you're in a management level position in a business, you have to make sure that the organization can operate and maintain its standards with the staff that it has. And so if your position on this is that you are going to get upset when staff has a secondary job or they have a side hustle or whatever, and your preference is for that not to happen, then you have to be okay with the repercussions of that preference. And so what you'll wind up seeing is you'll have a harder time for a lot of folks to fill that role because they are not going to be attracted to working for you. You'll have less and the trend is becoming more and more prominent, where you'll meet people that have side businesses and side hustles, and so you will have a hard time keeping those people because you're trying to push out people that have side businesses and side hustles and side jobs, and you'll have a harder time filling the workforce in that way, and so it's just become that kind of a trend. So really the conversation for us, in order to survive this trend, has morphed in the sense of I don't want to focus on I'm going to pay people for hours worked as much as I'm going to pay people for projects done. And so whenever I'm sitting down with the executive leadership team and we have discussions around we need to hire this type of staff member to do these responsibilities, the conversation now has not been, well, how many hours a week is it going to take to do that, and what's the expectations for time in the office. That conversation honestly no longer happens. What's actually happening now is, okay, what projects, what things do we need this person to do in the office? What are the specific things we want them to do? What is our expectations? We need this completely laid out. We need you in these meetings. We need you physically present in these meetings. We don't need you virtually present. We need you physically present. What meetings do we have where they can be virtually present? And then what projects do we need them to be involved in and get done? And that's like a non-negotiable thing. Every week, every day, every month, these projects need to be done. And how much are we willing to pay for that? And that is, I think, an example of an organization being flexible. It's worked for us. And so when we hire someone on, as long as your projects are getting done, you're showing up to the meetings, and you're showing commitment here, then we are flexible in what you do as your side hustle and what you need to do to keep the bills paid. And honestly, we've been able to do really well at that. Now, I understand that mindset is definitely niche in the sense of it's not going to work for every job and every type of career, obviously, but for us, it's kept us alive. And so what you do on your personal time, as long as your stuff is done and you showed up for my business and what I'm paying you for, then I don't care what else you do. I don't care what else you have going on. That's your business. That's not my business. And I have no business telling you how to do that. Off the clock, it's none of my business what you do, as long as it doesn't affect what you do here. And this is where I think a lot of people get caught up in this stuff that doesn't matter. For instance, here, when you look at this article, they link to, it's more of us are quiet quitters than you might think. It says, I just wanted to highlight this. This is an article here. More people are quiet quitters than you think. It says quiet quitting can mean a number of different things. In the survey, 45% said that they did a survey of people and asked them if they're quiet quitters. 45% said that to them it includes creating boundaries. 41% said giving up work. 39% said doing only the minimum required at work, and 32% said prioritizing private life over career, and 21% said rejecting extra job duties. Surprisingly, 80% of the quiet quitters said they have been promoted at work, and 77% said they have received a pay increase. Less surprisingly, 69% have been fired for quiet quitting behavior, and 74% have been criticized by their colleagues for it. And this is where I think it's falling into this really shaded space, because the definition is so broad as far as what quiet quitting actually is. But for us, this mindset of quiet quitting, we've noticed you don't fix it with pay raises, you don't fix it with pay increases. And so to combat against it, what we've done, like I said, is we did the conversation with what's expected in our business, what we need them to do. And then we have noticed there are certain people, it's very few and far in between, and these certain people are what you would call like the go-getters, the ones that want to do more and they want to be there. And those people, when you find them, those people are the ones you promote and increase in the pay. But for us right now, we actually operate in a level where it's like, what's the bare minimum we want this person to do, and what's the bare minimum pay rate we want them to do. And then we're very cautious about adding more to their plate. And when we do add more to their plate, it's more of like, hey man, can you do us a favor real quick and do this? And it's not a continual thing. And so that's the way we've been able to survive it. And it's worked really well for my business personally, which is more project based. So it works. It's a nice fit, like a hand into a glove. And I understand that most businesses, or a lot of businesses, don't operate that way. But yeah, this is a rising trend. And there's a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people that have side hustles and side things. And so I think a lot of companies are going to have to just get used to that. You have to get used to it. But and there's nothing more you can do about it. So another study by financial services platform Bankrate.com calculated that 39% of employed American adults are currently working a second gig on the side and bringing in an extra $810 a month on average. 39%. That's a pretty large chunk. They are largely keeping the projects quiet from their main employer. The trend is also common across most westernized countries. And here's another thing. I look like I'm online at 9:55 a.m. I make art for my side hustle on company time and fully take advantage of flexible hours. One Australian tech worker told local news outlet news.com.au as a testament. In my company, most people are doing 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I supposedly work 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But as long as I look like I'm online at 9:55 a.m., no one knows any different. Some workers are even tapping. Man, this ad is just driving me nuts. Some workers are even tapping into ChatGPT to do their main jobs faster and take on side hustles. And so that's what you're seeing there. Workers are using ChatGPT to utilize their work, and that mindset, that I'm online but I'm not actually there, that to me is being dishonest, and it's a reflection of character. It's a reflection of your character. If you tell someone you're going to do something, and you tell someone that you're logging on to do the work, and you're getting paid to do that work, and you're not doing it, that's a reflection of bad character, in my opinion. And I don't think that that's the right way to go about this. Now, I have had workers, like I have certain staff that have Airbnbs. I actually have a staff member that works part-time at managing Airbnbs, and I don't mind that staff member taking calls and responding to stuff during work hours in regards to that business, because all of their other work is done and getting done, and it's getting done on time, and there's not mistakes, and they're showing up every time, and they go above and beyond. That's actually one of the staff members that I have that go above and beyond their job expectations and do the work even more. And I believe it's because that staff member, and this is just my personal opinion, I haven't had a discussion with them, I believe it's because we've shown respect for their time and we've shown respect for them as an individual, and we've accepted the fact that, hey, you're a human being, you've got work, you've got needs, you've got bills to pay, we can't pay you a fat salary here, so you've got to do what you got to do, and we respect that. And so there's a mutual respect there. a mutual respect where it's like, you do what you got to do, and as long as you're getting stuff done here, I don't care what you do. Step outside, take your calls, take a lunch break early, take a lunch break late, do whatever you got to do. And I believe that we're reaping the fruits of that. And I believe that that's exactly what that is. And so I think that is the way to handle it. But I want to know, what are your guys' thoughts in these situations? Do you think that quiet quitting is a bad thing? How do you define quiet quitting? What would you say is the most common thing that causes quiet quitting? Because it seems to me like it's a combination of multiple things that people are getting sucked into, in the sense of like, they don't feel respected at work. They don't feel their work actually values them. They don't feel like their jobs have any meaning, and so they're quiet quitting in the sense of, I'm just going to do the bare minimum, or I'm not going to do most of my work at all, and I'm just going to go and find a side hustle. So I think that these are interesting questions to deal with, and I think we need to tackle that as leaders and figure out what is the best way to engage with that. And so for us, it wasn't saying like, hey, we're going to accept the fact that you're quiet quitters, as much as it was like, hey, how do we survive this and keep pushing forward and get the job done? And we've seen sufficient success off of it, because like I said, you've got some people that want to go above and beyond, so they're willing to take on the extra load. It's not a burden to them, but I have made sure to have conversations with them and tell them and just double check with them and make sure that their workload isn't too much. I've been very honest and open about that. How's your workload doing? Are you doing okay? Do you feel like you got too much? And I've also made it very open to tell people, like, if you feel like we're loading your plate up too much, come talk to us. And so, and we don't respond with, well, back in my day, or you don't respond with the, we'll get over it. It's more or less like letting people be honest, and with the workload. And we reward those who want to take on more. And we're very active about rewarding those who want to take on more. We've handed out very decent pay raises for the folks that stepped up to the plate. But what it's caused is the ones that are just kind of there and they're not really interested, we're losing less money because we're paying them for the bare minimum. And then the ones that want to be there, the rock stars, we're taking that money we're saving and we're giving them more money, in the sense so that they can get the raise, and then and in response to that, they're like wanting more, and they want to keep working and they want to keep hustling. So it's been a very interesting season for us at where my workplace is, and it's worked out really well. And so I'm not seeing as much of this that a lot of other people are saying. Like it says, the history of quiet quitting, 82% say it's a new phenomenon, and 18% say it's just the way people have always worked. Workers aren't oblivious to the fact that quiet quitting lessens job performance. A total of 75% said quiet quitting negatively impacts workplace productivity. So what matters to people more than work? A total of 94% say mental health, 91% say physical health. Also say family, 94% say mental health and physical health, 91% also say family, 82% say friends, and 70% say leisure activities. And so that's what people are saying is causing these workplace trends such as this. And I think that there's a lot combined into that, and I think that the workplace can obviously be a place that adds stress onto all of those things, and causes people to feel like they're not being respected in that way, and they're not able to keep up with the things that truly matter. And so I do know in our place of business, we've always made sure that that people have a healthy balance, a healthy work-life balance. And we've taken, when we've had seasons, because there's always seasons in your business where you have to work harder, you have to go faster, you have to stay in the office longer. So when we have those seasons, we always make sure that season is followed up with a season of, hey guys, you know what? Next week, let's just do 2 or 3 days and work from home. Just work from home. We've worked hard last week. Just, chill at home and, be at home with the family and stuff like that. And let's just take a break. But we still get the work done, but, we're not going to be in the office. We're just going to basically get the bare minimum. And that has been a nice balance for us in that season. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for putting up with these stupid pop-up ads and stuff like this. I'm gonna have to make sure my pop-up blockers are on, I guess. I don't know why my system's freaking out. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment below, let me know what your thoughts are on quiet quitting. Thank you guys for liking the video. The likes really do help. It really helps the channel. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one.